I stepped away for a second. I hope it works.
Good job, Brad.
Thank you. Chief, are your guys ready for being sworn in?
Well, I hope so. I gave them the directions to do it, so.
Okay.
They're probably better technology-wise than I am, so.
So, Mark, are you on?
Yes, I am.
Matt Wilkinson, are you on?
Yes, I am.
Mark, how do you pronounce your last name? Scholmeyer?
Yep, Scholmeyer.
Thank you. And Nicholas, are you on?
Yep.
All right. You will be quick, and you're more than welcome to not hang out for the whole thing. Whatever you wish. Looks like we have 7 o'clock, so we're going to get started. So welcome to this electronic Muscatine City Council meeting on April 16th will now be recorded. April 16th, 2020. Cinda, will you please do the roll call?
Councilmember Hopkins,
Present.
Fraley,
Present.
Malcolm,
Present.
Gordon,
Present.
Brockert, present, Gingrich,
Present.
Brackett.
Present.
7 present, 0 absent.
Thank you, Cinda. Next on the agenda is our Pledge of Allegiance, which we are postponing until we can be together again in order to show proper respect to our flag. I'd like to take this time to ask everyone who is at home, if you would please put your phones on mute, and when it's time for communication from the public, I will ask. And if you have something to say at that time, if you could unmute, and then I will give plenty of time for people to speak in. But we end up with a lot of feedback, and so that would be really helpful for us tonight. We are going to continue on with tonight's agenda. Under communications, the first thing we're going to do is swear in 3 new police officers. I would be willing to bet that this is setting a record for the very first time we've ever sworn in police officers over the phone. But we will get started. First up, we have Nicholas Pop. Are you there listening?
Yep, I'm here.
Please raise your right hand. Even though we can't see you, we will hold you to your honor. And repeat after me. I, Nicholas Pop,
I, Nicholas Pop,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the constitutions
that I will support the constitutions
of the United States and the state of Iowa,
of the United States and the state of Iowa,
and that I will faithfully and impartially,
and that I will faithfully and impartially,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
discharge all the duties
discharge all the duties
of police officer
of police officer
in the city of Muscatine, Iowa,
in the city of Muscatine, Iowa,
as now or hereafter
as now or hereafter
required by law.
required by law.
Congratulations, Officer Pop. Welcome, and thank you so much for your service.
Thank you very much.
Next, we have up Mark Scholmeyer. Mark, are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
Will you please raise your right hand and repeat after me? I, Mark Scholmeyer,
I, Mark Scholmeyer,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the constitutions
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States and the state of Iowa,
of the United States and the state of Iowa,
and that I will faithfully and impartially,
and that I will faithfully and impartially,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
discharge all the duties
discharge all the duties
of police officer
of police officer
in the city of Muscatine, Iowa,
in the city of Muscatine, Iowa,
as now or hereafter
as now or hereafter
required by law.
required by law.
Congratulations, Officer Schulmeyer. We appreciate
Thank you.
your service. Welcome.
Thank you.
Next, we have Matt Wilkinson. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Matt Wilkinson,
I, Matt Wilkinson,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the constitutions
of the United States and the state of Iowa,
of the United States and the state of Iowa,
and that I will faithfully and impartially,
and that I will faithfully and impartially,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
discharge all the duties of police officer
discharge all the duties of police officer
in the city of Muscatine, Iowa,
in the city of Muscatine, Iowa,
as now or hereafter
as now or hereafter
required by law.
required by law.
Thank you, and congratulations, Officer Wilkinson. Welcome.
Thank you.
Chief, could you arrange for the 3 officers to come to one of our first council meetings when we're back together again? I feel badly that they are not getting to be recognized formally and in person in front of the community.
Yeah, that won't be a problem. We'll make that happen. I
Thank
don't
you,
like doing it
Chief.
this way either.
I don't either. I feel like they're getting cheated in some way, and it makes me unhappy about it. So I would really appreciate if you could do that. Thank you.
You bet.
All right, we have got the next thing on our agenda is, I turned my phone the wrong way there. We are going to have a few public comments, and I would like to have anyone who wishes to share with council something that's not on tonight's agenda, if you would please unmute your phone at this time and state your name, and then I will recognize you. No one? I will give one more opportunity to make sure that the public had an opportunity to weigh in. Is there anyone who would like to speak to council? Hearing nothing, we are going to move on to the consent agenda. The following items are considered to be routine by the City Council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda, which includes items 6A and B, items 12A through C, and tonight's bills totaling $3,105,106.93. Please state your name if you make a motion.
Councilman Freilich, so moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Freilich with a second by Councilman Brackett. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries and the consent agenda is approved. Tonight we have 4 public hearings. The first public hearing concerns the First Amendment to the fiscal year 1920 budget. This will amend the budget to the revised estimate amounts considered by the City Council during the 2021 budget review process. This includes amending both the revenues and expenditures to the currently estimated amounts. Amendments also reflect updated capital project construction schedules. Now is the time for the public to comment. Is there anyone who would like to have a comment on this public hearing? Now is your time to unmute the phone and state your name. Hearing
Motion to
nothing.
close.
Hearing nothing. Do I have a motion to close?
So moved, Hopkins.
Do I have a second?
Second by Gordon.
We have a motion by Councilman Hopkins with a second by Councilman Gordon. Councilwoman Gordon, I'm sorry. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposed? The motion carries. Our second public hearing concerns the adoption of the new budget and certification of the city taxes for the 2021 fiscal year. Now is the time for the public to comment. If you have a comment about this public hearing, please mute your phone and state your name. Hearing nothing. Do I have a motion to close?
So moved, Your Honor. Councilman Brackett.
Do I have a second?
Second by Freilich.
We have a motion by Councilman Brackett with a second by Councilman Freilich. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposed? The motion carries, and this public hearing is closed. Next, we have a public hearing concerning the plan specifications, cost estimate, and form of contract for the Municipal Airport Taxiway A. Now is the time for the public to comment. If you have a comment, please unmute your phone and state your name. Hearing nothing. Do I have a motion to close?
So moved, Your Honor.
We have a motion by Councilwoman Brockert. Do I have a second?
Second, Your Honor. Councilman Brackett.
With a second by Councilman Brackett. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? This motion carries as well. And the final public hearing tonight concerns the annual application for state and federal transit funds. The federal portion of the funding is $423,143, and the state portion is $256,239. The funds are applied to the transit's operating expenses. Now is the time for the public to comment. Please unmute your phone and state your name. Hearing nothing. Do I have a motion to close? Motion by Gordon. We have a motion to close this public hearing by Councilwoman Gordon. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Councilman Gendrich. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Is anyone opposed? The motion carries as well, and this public hearing is closed. And we will continue on down with the agenda, and we are on 11A. We have presented for City Council's consideration the third and final reading of an ordinance approving the vacation of alley right-of-way in Block 29 of the original town. Is there a motion to adopt this ordinance on the third and final reading and to direct for its publication as required by law?
So moved, Your Honor. Councilman Freilich.
We have a motion by Councilman Malcolm. Do we have a second?
Second by Councilman Freilich.
And a second by Councilman Freilich. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. Councilwoman Gordon, how do you vote? Aye. Councilman Malcolm.
Aye.
Councilman Freilich.
Aye.
Councilman Hopkins.
Aye.
Councilwoman Brockert.
Aye.
Councilman Gendrich.
Aye.
Councilman Brackett.
Aye.
The ordinance is adopted with all ayes. And we are now on 11B. And we have presented for City Council's consideration the third and final reading of an ordinance amending the rental housing code and relocating the rental housing code and other specific sections of the city code relating to the regulation of property maintenance to a newly created title within the city code, Title 16, Rental Housing and Property Maintenance Regulation. Do I have a motion to adopt this ordinance on the third and final reading and to direct for its publication as required by law?
So moved, Your Honor. Councilman Brackett.
And do I have a second?
Second by Gordon.
We have a motion by Councilman Brackett with a second by Councilwoman Gordon. Is there any discussion? This is the opportunity for the public to have any discussion as well. Hearing nothing. Councilwoman Brockert, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilman Gendrich.
Aye.
Councilman Brackett.
Aye.
Councilman Hopkins.
Aye.
Councilman Freilich,
Aye.
Councilman Malcolm,
Aye.
and Councilwoman Gordon.
Aye.
The resolution is adopted with all ayes. And we are now on 11D. No, we're on 11C. And this is a resolution approving amendment number 1 to the 1920 city budget, and this is what we talked about in public hearing A. Do I have a motion to adopt the resolution?
So moved by Gordon.
Do I have a motion? Okay, we have a motion by Councilwoman Gordon with a second by Councilwoman Brockert. Is there any discussion? This includes the public. Hearing nothing. Councilman Brackett, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilman Gendrich?
Aye.
Councilwoman Brockert?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gordon?
Aye.
Councilman Malcolm?
Aye.
Councilman Freilich?
Aye.
And Councilman Hopkins?
Aye.
This resolution is adopted with all ayes. I'm trying to see. Do we have a chat here? Cindy, do you see anybody typing in the chat?
No, I don't
There.
have any messages on there.
Turn my phone 90 degrees. This way? Is that better, Greg? Maybe Greg can't talk.
Jeremy needs to put you back on the screen. There, you're upside down now. You gotta go 180 degrees.
This way? How's that?
There you go.
Yep.
Is
You
that
got it.
better?
Yes.
Okay. Making me do a math class, aren't you? All right. Now we are on 11D. We have now a resolution approving the adoption of the budget and certification of taxes for fiscal year 2020 and 2021. This is our public hearing B we just had. Do I have a motion to adopt this resolution?
So moved, Your Honor. Freilich.
I had a motion by Councilman Gendrich first. Councilman Freilich, will you second?
I will.
And is there any discussion either from council or the public? Hearing none. Councilman Hopkins, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilman Freilich?
Aye.
Councilman Malcolm?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gordon?
Aye.
Councilwoman Brockert?
Aye.
Councilman Gendrich?
Aye.
And Councilman Brackett?
Aye.
The resolution is adopted with all ayes. And we are now on 11E. We have presented for City Council's consideration a resolution approving the plans, specifications, form of contract, cost estimate for the Municipal Airport Taxiway A project. This is our public hearing C. Do I have a motion to adopt the resolution as submitted?
So moved, Gordon.
Brackett.
We have a motion by Councilwoman Gordon and a second by Councilman Brackett. Is that okay, guys?
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Is there any discussion either from council or the public? Hearing nothing. Councilman Hopkins, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilman Freilich?
Aye.
Councilman Malcolm?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gordon?
Aye.
Councilwoman Brockert?
Aye.
Councilman Gendrich?
Aye.
And Councilman Brackett?
Aye.
This resolution is adopted with all ayes. And we are on 11F. Presented for City Council's consideration is a resolution approving the annual application for state and federal transit funds. The federal portion of the funding is $423,143, and the state portion is $256,239. These funds are applied to the transit operating expenses from public hearing C. Do I have a motion to adopt the resolution as submitted?
Gingrich, so moved.
Second.
Second by Freilich.
We have a motion by Councilman Gendrich with a second by Councilman Freilich. Is there any discussion? Council or public? Hearing none. Councilwoman Gordon, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilwoman Brockert?
Aye.
Councilman Gendrich?
Aye.
Councilman Brackett?
Aye.
Councilman Malcolm?
Aye.
Councilman Freilich?
Aye.
Councilman Hopkins?
Aye.
The resolution is adopted. We are now on 11G. We have presented for City Council's consideration a resolution conveying the vacated right-of-way to HNI, which is part of the right-of-way that was vacated in item 11A public hearing. That we talked about in the public hearing. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution as submitted?
So moved, Your Honor.
Second. Do I have a second?
Second, Your Honor. Brockert.
We have a motion by Councilman Malcolm with a second by Councilwoman Brockert. Is there any discussion from council or public? Hearing none. Councilman Freilich, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilman Hopkins?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gordon?
Aye.
Councilman Malcolm?
Aye.
Councilman Gendrich?
Aye.
Councilman Brackett?
Aye.
Councilwoman Brockert?
Aye.
The resolution is adopted with all ayes. And we are now on 11H. We have presented for City Council's consideration a resolution conveying the vacated right-of-way to Anita DeCook LLC, which was part of the right-of-way vacated in item 11A. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution as submitted?
Gingrich, so moved, Your Honor.
And you are Gendrich?
Yes.
And is there a second?
Second by Gordon.
We have a motion by Councilman Gendrich with a second by Councilwoman Gordon. Is there any discussion from council or public? Hearing nothing. Councilman Gendrich, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilman Brackett?
Aye.
Councilwoman Brockert?
Aye.
Councilman Malcolm?
Aye.
Councilman Freilich?
Aye.
Councilman Hopkins?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gordon?
Aye.
The resolution is adopted with all ayes. And we are on 11I. We have tonight a resolution authorizing and approving a loan agreement providing for the sale and issuance of $6,310,000 in general obligation corporate purpose bonds, Series 2020, and providing for the levy of taxes to pay the same. Do I have a motion to approve the resolution as submitted?
So moved, Your Honor. Councilman Brackett.
We have a motion by Councilman Brackett. Do I have a second?
Second by Councilman Freilich.
We have a second by Councilman Freilich. Is there any discussion, council or the public? Hearing nothing. Councilman Freilich, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilman Hopkins?
Aye.
Councilman Malcolm?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gordon?
Aye.
Councilwoman Brockert?
Aye.
Councilman Gendrich?
Aye.
Councilman Brackett? Councilman Brackett?
Sorry. Aye. I thought I had it unmuted, but must not have caught it.
This resolution is adopted with all ayes, and we are on 11J. Presented for City Council's consideration is a resolution authorizing the assessment of unpaid abatement costs to private property. The nuisance abatement costs total $7,663.17. The administrative fees are $1,125, and the assessment fees are $1,250. Total fees being requested for assessment at this time total $10,038.17. Do I have a motion to adopt the resolution as submitted?
So moved, Your Honor.
We We have a motion by Councilwoman Brockert. Do I have a second?
Second by Gordon.
With a second by Councilwoman Gordon. Is there any discussion? Council or public? Hearing nothing. Councilman Gendrich, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilman Brackett?
Aye.
Councilwoman Brockert?
Aye.
Councilman Freilich?
Aye.
Councilman Malcolm?
Aye.
Councilman Hopkins?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gordon?
Aye.
The resolution is adopted with all ayes. And we are now on 11K. We have presented for City Council's consideration a resolution accepting the completed work for the high-strength waste receiving station project. The work under the contract has now been completed by Leander Construction and approved and accepted by the Water Pollution Director, and appears to meet the requirements of the plans and specifications. Do I have a motion to adopt the resolution as submitted?
So moved, Your Honor,
So moved.
Councilman Brackett.
We have a motion by Councilman Brackett. Do I have a second?
Second by Gordon.
With a second by Councilwoman Gordon. Any discussion from council or the public? Hearing nothing. Councilman Gendrich, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilwoman Brockert?
Aye.
Councilman Brackett?
Aye.
Councilman Hopkins?
Aye.
Councilman Freilich?
Aye.
Councilman Malcolm?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gordon?
Aye.
The resolution is adopted with all ayes. We are on 11L. We have presented for City Council's consideration a resolution setting a public hearing for May 7th of 2020 for the Park Avenue 4 to 3 lane conversion project. Do I have a motion to adopt the resolution as submitted?
So moved, Hopkins.
Second,
And
Brackett.
we have a motion by Councilman Hopkins with a second by Councilman Brackett. Is there any discussion from council or the public? Hearing nothing. Councilwoman Brockert, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilwoman Gordon?
Aye.
Councilman Gendrich?
Aye.
Councilman Malcolm?
Aye.
Councilman Hopkins?
Aye.
Councilman Freilich?
Aye.
Councilman Brackett?
Aye.
The resolution is adopted with all ayes. And we are down to 11M. We have tonight presented for City Council's consideration a request to award the remainder of the 5-year landfill contract to Ritmer Incorporated of DeWitt, Iowa. Failure to meet the contract specifications has resulted in the city terminating the prior contractor 14 months prior to the end of their contract. Do I have a motion to approve the request as submitted?
So moved, Your Honor. This is Councilman Brackett.
And a second by,
Councilman Malcolm.
we have a motion by Councilman Brackett with a second by Councilman Malcolm. Is there any discussion from the council or the public? Hearing nothing. All in favor say aye.
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 Is there any opposed? The request is approved with all ayes. And we are now on 11N. We have presented for City Council's consideration a request to approve the issuance of a purchase order to Stalker in the amount of $5,848 for the purchase of 2 radar units. Stalker is the sole vendor of these radar units. There's $6,500 budgeted for the purchase. Do I have a motion to approve the request as submitted?
So moved, Your
So
Honor.
moved, Gordon.
We have a motion by Councilman Freilich and a second by
Gordon.
Councilwoman Gordon. Is there any discussion from the council or the public? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
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 Is there any opposed? The request is approved with all ayes. And we're on 11O. We have presented for City Council's consideration a request to approve the issuance of a purchase order to Keltec in the amount of $6,127.50 for the purchase of 2 Wayland Inner Edge light bars. Caltech holds the state bid in Iowa for emergency light bars. There's $7,000 budgeted for the purchase. Do I have a motion to approve the request?
So moved, Your Honor. Councilman Brackett.
Brockert.
We have a motion by Councilman Brackett with a second by Councilwoman Brockert. Is there any discussion from council or the public? Hearing nothing. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? The request is approved with all ayes. We are on 11P. We have presented for City Council's consideration a request to approve the issuance of a purchase order to Mohawk Lift in the amount of $107,836.63 for the purchase of a 75,000-pound lift to accommodate our current fleet and any future vehicles purchased. Mohawk Lift has the state bid for vehicle lift and has offered the city a discounted price for a $75,000 pound lift equal to the cost of the 50,000-pound lift. The budget for the 2020-2021 included $100,000 in funding to replace the vehicle lift in the Equipment Services Division. The budget amount was based on a lift with 50,000-pound capacity. It is requested that the 2020-2021 budget allocation be moved to fiscal year 2019-2020 and be included in budget amendment number 2 to the current year budget. This purchase will be funded with an internal loan to be repaid over the next 4 years. Do I have a motion to adopt or to approve the request as submitted?
So moved, Your Honor. Councilman Brackett.
Do I have a second?
Second, Your Honor. Brockert.
We have a motion by Councilman Brackett with a second by Councilwoman Brockert. Is there any discussion from the council or the public?
Yes, Your Honor, I just got a question. Councilman Freilich?
Please go ahead.
I was wondering what the warranty is on this new lift and if we have a service contract or an agreement on it.
So, Greg Jenkins here. I'll have to get back with you, but I don't know the answer to that question. And Brian's time is out for the evening.
Oh, all right.
Is it premature for us to do this now when we haven't approved amendment number 2?
Well, we can certainly bring it back in the first of the month, next month. Then we'd have the answers to those questions. I don't know that it's not, hopefully it won't make that much difference one way or the other, but I understand what you're saying.
I was just wondering, since if we're approving it, but it hasn't been approved,
This is Nancy.
what has to come first?
This is Nancy. I'd like to comment on behalf of Brian. They're having issues with the current lift, and there's like a 12, 13-week lead time to get it installed. So they had concerns on waiting for this, and I think if council concurs that you want to include it in amendment number 2, we can definitely do that, and we'll be setting the public hearing on amendment number 2 at the first meeting in May.
I would like to speak to, Mayor.
Go ahead.
I just would say, given that it's only, we budgeted $100,000 for this, it's an less than $8,000 difference, and we're getting a lift that can handle, 25,000 pounds more than what we had originally discussed. And given the state and condition of the current lift, I think it's important we go ahead and proceed with this to make sure that we can service the vehicles that we have and future vehicles. I think I'd hate to also put any risk on losing out on the deal that they're providing us. I don't know if it would or not, but, given the relatively small dollar difference, I think it's important to proceed forward.
Any other discussion?
Yes, Your Honor. I'd like to chime in closely. We talked about this in budgeting, and Brian and them expressed their concern for safety of the staff. And I'm concerned about that more. It's nice to get a great deal, but I don't want any staff or personnel hurt trying to do their job. Let's make sure we protect our people.
So just so council understands that part of the request is to approve the purchase order, but it's also to approve that we will put this in amendment number 2 next month. That's kind of part of the deal.
I understand. So basically, we're giving ourselves a line of credit.
Basically. Okay,
good.
Is there any other discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Is there any opposed? The request is approved with all ayes. And we are on 11Q. We have presented for City Council's consideration a request to enter into a professional service agreement with Strand and Associates for an amount not to exceed $30,000 for the design of the dual-use redundant force main DERF project phase 1. Do I have a motion to approve the request as submitted?
So moved, Your Honor. Councilman Brackett.
Do I have a second?
Second, Your Honor, Brockert.
We have a motion by Councilman Brackett with a second by Councilwoman Brockert. Is there any discussion from council or the public? Hearing nothing. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Is there any opposed? The request is approved with all ayes. And we are moving down to 11R. We have presented for City Council's consideration a request to approve the issuance of a purchase order to CR Landscaping in the amount of $18,125 for repairs to the Weed Park Rose Garden Playground retaining wall. 3 bids were received for this project, with CR Landscaping being the low bid. This project will be funded from a remaining balance of $18,364 and the bond funding from the bond funding for the Fuller Park Playground project. Do I have a motion to approve the request as submitted?
So moved, Your Honor.
So moved, Hopkins.
We have a motion by Councilman Hopkins, and I heard somebody else.
Freilich, second.
With a second by Councilman Freilich. Is there any discussion from the council or the public? Hearing nothing. All in favor say aye.
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 Is there any opposed? The request is approved with all ayes. And we are on 11F. We have presented for City Council's consideration a request to approve the issuance of a purchase order to Superior Seawall for $32,400 for the repairs to the Long Dock and Courtesy Dock for damages from the 2019 flood. 3 vendors were contracted regarding the repairs, and Superior Seawall was the only vendor available to provide the services needed. FEMA will be funding 75%, which is $24,300. The state will be funding 10%, $3,240. And the city will be funding 15%, $4,860. Future bonding from the 2022 bond issue will fund the city's portion of all of the FEMA projects. At the time the budget was adopted, the total local share was estimated at $385,000. Do I have a motion to approve the request as submitted?
Gendrich, so moved.
So moved, Hopkins.
We have a motion by Councilman Gendrich with a second by Councilman Hopkins. Is there any discussion from the council or the public?
Your Honor, I have a question. This is Brockert.
Go ahead.
Do we have any idea when the work will be able to start, Rich?
Started immediately.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments?
I have a question, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Rich, based on what you just said, starting the median, does that include the fact that we have high water out there now?
It does.
Okay. I'm
The
just
water,
curious.
it's anticipated, I think, in the next 10 to 14 days to go down. By the time the contractor gets the PO and mobilizes, that's when we'll begin to work. That's what I mean by immediate.
Okay. I'm just, I'm just a little curious, because I know the water is high out there now.
I understand. Thank you.
Anything else? Hearing nothing. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposed? The request is approved with all ayes. Next, we have a discussion and possible action to support Muscatine small businesses. Our Councilwoman Gordon had brought up and worked on a project in collaboration with a couple of others to see what we as a city could do to support Muscatine small businesses. Thank you for doing this work. And Peggy, do you you have a PowerPoint?
We do. Thank you so much, Mayor Brotherson. I'm going to start it off, but I will hand it over here in a second. So, fellow council members, what you're going to see tonight is a proposed small business assistance program focused on Muscatine. So we'd like you to review it. One thing I do ask that we hold back any comments or questions till after the presentation, and we'll have plenty of time to discuss it. So please write down your questions. To the next slide, Kevin, or whoever's running the slideshow. Oh, we're going to bring out the puppet. All right. Myself, Greg, and Jody met a few times this week, and we set down this presentation and proposal for the council consideration. Our goal is to ensure that the Muscatine economy can rebound as quickly as possible. Our focus on this program is small businesses directly impacted by the COVID-19 public health crisis. I'd like to hand this over to Jody, and she's going to take us through the different steps and processes.
Thank you, Peggy.
So this is Greg, and Jody wasn't able to be here tonight, so I'm going to walk us through this PowerPoint presentation. I too want to thank Councilwoman Gordon and Jody for their great work in pulling this together. On the next slide, we'll talk about the businesses that are eligible to apply. We're looking for for-profit businesses who have been in existence since March 1st of 2019, excuse me. Yep. We're trying to hold this to from 1 to 25 employees, and that will include sole proprietors. They must not have liens by the city, the county, or the state against them. And they must be able to demonstrate a loss of revenue due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Next slide, please. So our target is to provide 400,000. Yes, ma'am.
Can you hold up for Mayor, can you ask everybody to mute, please?
Yes. Everybody, please mute your phones. During the PowerPoint presentation, there'll be a time for comments after.
Thank you so much. Sorry, Greg.
No sweat, thanks. So our target and what we hope to do is provide $400,000 for short-term forgivable loans. Our source for this funding will come from the existing and future small business forgivable loan program allocations. We will extend out for several years to amass that amount of money to, it'd be like another internal loan. And maybe, Nancy, you want to speak to this?
Yes, I can add a comment. To expedite this, if it was a new program we were doing, we would need to set a public hearing on an urban renewal plan amendment and then wait 30 days and then approve it. So to expedite it, we're going to use the allocation we already have for the small business forgivable loan program, and that was $100,000 a year through FY24. So by using that appropriation, we can expedite this the whole program. We can then later amend the urban renewal plan and kind of refill the allocations for the regular forgivable loan program. So this worked out that we can fund the program without having to go through a longer process. And on the next agenda, if council concurs with this program, there would be a resolution approving an internal advance in the amount of $400,000. And this was reviewed by our bond attorney, John Danos, in Jody and my call with him yesterday.
Thanks, Nancy. And so this would result in our target then is to provide $2,500 for businesses. And again, this would have no impact on the general fund. Kevin? So our eligible uses for funding is we want to have a pretty broad stroke at this. It could be used for rent or mortgage or utilities to sustain the inventory that they need or purchase new inventory to get started back up, and potentially even for personnel costs if somehow or another the PPP program, the personal provisions, has not come through for them. But the intent is for us to not be too severe with what we're asking them to prove. What we want to do is enable them to spend that money where they need to ensure that they're back in good stead once we get ourselves opened up again. Next slide, please. So this application evaluation, and what we're trying to demonstrate here or show here is that we are thinking about how we want to score these applications when they come in. We don't have this finalized yet. So these are just some sample criteria. What's the threshold of, have they completed the application? That we're going to ask for some documents from them that enables us to understand what their financials looked like last year versus this year. Are they eligible business? Acknowledge required to execute loan agreement and personal guarantee. We're still going to ask them to go through that process with us, even though we anticipate that we will be giving most of these loans in a short period of time. They must be able to demonstrate the need, receive state, federal grant, or have they, and receive a PPP assistance. Have they applied for other assistance funds, home-based business, or franchise? So all of these will have scoring applied to them, and we will then come up with those scores to enable us to make the right choices for the businesses that ought to be moved to the front of the line to obtain these funds. Okay?
Great. Can I interject something here? That the scoring methodology takes the decision away from a personal viewpoint. We want to make sure that we get as many businesses as possible that can qualify, and then we might even have a next tier that maybe they hit the mark or missed the mark on 1 or 2 scoring, but it's a scoring methodology. It's not just we're sitting down at a table and doling out money. So, and the Community Foundation has, Jody's worked with them to allow us to use their application process, which is an online process. And it sounds like we'll be able to use that for free. So we want it to be a little more metric driven, so it should be easy to handle and manage. Thanks, Greg.
Oh, thank you. Good segue, because we're going to talk about that now. But this will be a broad set of resources that need to come to play to make this work. And it's in alphabetical order, so it's administrative support. We need communications to let people know what's going on. The Community Development Department will be probably the backbone to work in this program. Finance, of course, nothing gets done without Nancy and her team. We need to be sure that we do follow the laws that don't step across the line. And we may need some IT support on the inside. Externally, the first pass at the partners that we're going to have to ask for some help from are the banks, potentially, the Chamber of Commerce, to help us maybe help score these and also get the word out to people that this is going on. Like Peggy said, the Community Foundation is stepping up to help us put the survey together and get it out in a timely fashion. And then we'll probably ask the loan committee from this Small Business Revolving Loan Fund to help us score the applications so that this is done by an unbiased group of people who can make this happen in a timely fashion, who are used to working within our guidelines. Okay, Kevin. So like we said previously, this is an aggressive schedule that we're trying to get these dollars moving as quickly as possible. From your consensus or your motion to approve this process tonight to the time we want to have funds available is a month. And so we'd like to get moving on that. You can see the steps that are laid out there. And we'd like to then be back talking to people 6 months from then to get a determination that they're still in place, because that's one of the criteria. If you're still viable firm 6 months from now, that's when we intend to forgive those loans. You can see that application period will open May 1st. That's not very long from now to get that put together. And we're going to allow that to be out there for a week. I'm going to ask you guys to help us, the council, to approve funding, as Nancy suggested. Get the evaluations completed by May 12th. I ask you to then, on the 14th, approve those payouts, make the word notifications, and then get the funding going. That's, again, really aggressive timeline, but if we can figure out how to move it forward, we will. 5, please. Our communications plan to the community. I trust maybe Kevin's seen this before, but surprise, we're going to do a program announcement through social media, websites, the city and the partner agencies. We're going to try to get a direct mailing going out to the businesses that we're contemplating participating. Of course, do a press release. And then we also need to get a detailed facts or frequently asked question FAQ document put together so we can ensure that people understand what they're getting themselves into. You know, when you talk about that direct mail piece, we did an analysis of the community through a Reference USA database that the library holds, and though it's not 100% accurate, we did a search on the number of businesses in Muscatine that are less than, we use less than 50, but the numbers do get a little goofy right there. But there was 700, I think the initial pass, there was 1,100 businesses that were identified. And then as we whittled that down, we came down to about 500 businesses that would be eligible to participate in that. And that's the reason we went to the volume that we did, the number of dollars we're talking about, and the way we've limited this so that we can have an effective amount of dollars spent, but have a broad range to people. Again, our goal is to ensure the Muscatine economy can rebound as quickly as possible. And our focus is on the small businesses directly impacted by COVID-19 and public health crisis. I'd also like to share that, there are a lot of communities doing this. And so we did benchmark in a great way many of the communities around the country that are doing this. But I'd also like to tell you that most of those communities are much bigger than ours and have a lot more resources to throw at this. But that $400,000, we can pull that out and put it to work for our community is a significant amount of money, and we'll be benchmarked by a lot of folks. If Muscatine can do it, why can't we? Thank you, Councilwoman Gordon. Did you have something else you wanted to?
No, I mean, I think this is very, very exciting, and thank you, Greg, for taking Jody's. I know she was very willing, and up until noon today, we were practicing the presentation. There's a lot of hard work, making calls already, making sure it's legal, making sure that finance was satisfied, and that we could come up with funds that did not impact our general fund, therefore our normal services and programs. And like Greg said, there are other communities doing this, but not to the level of our size for this amount of money that we can come up with on programs that we already had in place. We're just reallocating those funds. So now I'd like to open it up for any questions or comments from the council, and then I think we'll open it up to the public. But let's see if the council can speak first, if that's all right.
Peggy, I would like to ask, I think one thing that's really going to be important for the success of the program, I'd like to see that council will be involved through every step of this process. So are you going to remain involved throughout the entire process then?
Yes, I'd love to. I mean,
I think that's
Greg
important.
is doing that. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'll be glad to do that. I mean, it's a very aggressive deadline, but that's the only way we're going to get this done and to help our local businesses. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Go ahead, Kelsey.
All right. So first off, I wanted to thank everybody that was involved in getting this put together so quickly, particularly Peggy, Councilwoman Gordon, for bringing this forward and getting this going, and for Jody and Greg's time on this, making sure that we could get this in front of us as quickly as possible. I think this is important for the community. I think this is a great thing, and really appreciate everybody's time and effort, and as well as the partner agencies that are getting involved, the Chamber, the Foundation, and the others mentioned. So I really appreciate that. I had one question on this, and that would be, if we don't have enough applications to use up the funds that are proposed there during that 1 week time frame, could we have a second week open up after that for applications?
Yes. I would suggest it.
So that's the only change that I would request on any of this. And once again, I just want to really thank everybody and give kudos to everybody that was involved in getting this put together and turned around so quickly.
Anyone else?
Let me just respond to that real quick. We did talk about maybe 2 rounds, depending, again, on what we received. We want to encourage people, and it'll be for all of us to help communicate this, because we do want people in that first round,
right,
that first week application. But if we don't, we'll definitely come back and say, hey, we have an opportunity for 50 more businesses or whatever. So we'll need to keep everybody engaged. So,
thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Yes, Peggy, this is Nadine. Is there a certain level of business that these folks would have enjoyed prior to the virus coming through in order to qualify, or is that part of the metrics in the application?
There's several things in the metrics that help us score different businesses. We tossed around like removing franchises, just because hopefully their company that they're franchised under might help them. But we didn't know that that was entirely fair. So in the scoring, a franchise might, if they're a yes, might get 0 points. Whereas if they're no, meaning they're more local focused and everything is, they might score a point. So we tried to focus that way. We also have another question about, did you already receive some state grant funds? Like some of our businesses have been lucky enough to receive those funds. We don't want to write them out entirely, but they will fall sort of below the fold if somebody else has not received any support. So again, that would be a scoring, yes, I received some, so you get a 0, no, you didn't. As to like sales generated, we didn't look at that. We also focused on smaller companies, so 1 to 25 employees, and that one is a sole proprietor. So we wanted to make sure we took care of some of the smallest businesses that don't have, 4, 5, 6 employees, 20 employees. Does that answer your question, Nadine?
Yes, it does. Thank you, Peggy.
You're welcome. Anyone else? Here, since I'm not hearing anything, or is there anybody in the public?
This is Jeff Osborne, 970 Locust Street.
Yes, please go ahead, Jeff.
First of all, again, I'd like to thank, like everyone else has, about the work that's being done here. Think about small businesses. I appreciate the expediency to it, and you guys are all working very hard, and I really appreciate that. A couple of questions, and then a comment on potentially that might impact the scoring. First question is, if a family owns multiple businesses, is it one application for collective of all of the businesses put together, or one application for each business? What's thoughts there?
Yep, that's a great question. Do you want me to respond or try to right now, or do you want to ask your next question too?
Yes, probably should. I go to the next question. Somebody probably needs to mute the phone.
COVID-19, here's my own case. If you're in the hospital, the 25% share,
I think it's the background noise that you're talking about.
You think what, Kelsey?
I think it's the background noise at your location that is we're getting some feedback on right now. If you could mute while he goes to, thank you.
I can't remember my second question right now. Hopefully I'll remember it when I'll just go ahead and make a comment. I appreciate the focus on the really small businesses nationally, and the fact that maybe you're scoring if there's already grants given, then that's a factor. I just want to let you folks know that's on the right track. For small businesses, especially a sole proprietor, less than 3 to 5 years old, typically, as you all know, you don't make a profit when you first start up. All the money's going back into the business if you're making anything at all. And so the way the current grants and everything is set up federally, is if you make no income, then you're not eligible for the unemployment insurance portion. There is a $600 adder to everybody on that, but if you made no profit, then there is no income. And so you start at zero, you get the $600, and the $600 only lasts like 3 weeks, is my understanding. We've all gotten rejection letters on that, but my understanding is that getting worked out, so I'm not sure all the details are there. But no proprietor income, you get no unemployment. You also, if you're a sole proprietor with no employees, 2 of the grants you don't qualify for because a lot of them are hinged on you're going to pay your employees and keep them employed. Rightfully so. I think that's the right thing, but it certainly leaves the new entrepreneur, sole proprietor, single person working that's not making any profit. There really is little out there that they're getting. So it sounds like
we thought about that.
Yeah, it sounds
go ahead,
like
Jeff. I'm sorry.
That's okay. That sounds like some of your scoring does have that in play. So anything you can do there, that's, like I said, I think these sole proprietors that aren't making any profit are really falling through the cracks federally. Maybe got that.
Right. And that's why we had some debate and some questions about that, because in theory it would be 0 employees to 25. 0 is a sole proprietor. For ease of sake today, we listed it as 1, but we wanted to say that sole proprietor, whether it's a salon owner that rents chairs or a single, person like yourself down at Creations by Oz, where you are the sole proprietor and you're working nonstop, you should be able to qualify for this. Let me speak to your multiple owners or multiple businesses, because actually I did think about you guys today, because you have a shop business, 2nd Street, Creations by Oz, and you have a bed and breakfast. One of the things we will be scoring on is home-based business. Regretfully, they will get a 0 score because we're trying to focus more on commercial business first, but we don't want to take you out of that mix. So if your businesses are 2 separate businesses with 2 separate EIN numbers from the state, we need to probably take this back, and I'll have to respond and see what everybody else recommends or Jody recommends. We can see if you could submit twice, but your bed and breakfast will score lower, most likely, because it would be considered a home-based business, as would like a consultant, somebody that does consulting from their home. So we're trying to get money into people that have rent, mortgages, utilities in a separate operation. It's not a lot of money, but it might take care of some bills for a month. So
absolutely.
You're sort of in both worlds a little there. So thank you, Jeff, for your comments.
In our case, just to let you know, since you were thinking about us specifically, we probably wouldn't file anything under the B&B at the house side of the business. Now, we do also rent the apartment upstairs as part of the B&B. But we treat that as part of creation. So I think as far as the BIN number goes, we would just do under Creation by Oz. We wouldn't even mention the B&B section.
Thank you. So the EIN number, if you're a business owner, you know what that is. That's your registration with the state. It's your business ID with the state. So just to know that, a lot of these folks are already submitting information, already have collected what they need to turn in. They've already, like I said, turned it into the state or Fed and got it declined. So we're hoping that a lot of the information is already collected and we can just repurpose it. So that's our desire, is to make this as quick and painless as possible, but also methodical. So thank you, Jeff, for your comments.
Is there anyone else?
Thank you.
And I have one more question. But I can't remember it right now, so I might come back if there's enough time.
Okay. Anyone else?
Councilman Freilich?
Yes, go ahead.
Peggy, are you going to take, for those that have applied for loans already and have received notification that they are receiving a loan, they vary greatly. Are you going to collect that information, so if you know somebody got $25,000 and somebody only got $2,000, is that's going to be weighted on their evaluation?
We didn't score again, the scoring is still being finalized, so Dennis can take in the amount, because the score doesn't have to be a simple yes or no or 0 or 1. Jody recommended the other day that we do maybe some 0 to 3 so we can have a range. So maybe if you did get a smaller grant of 2,000, maybe you're not a 0, but you're a 1 or 2.
Yeah.
We can put that into consideration. As I said, the scoring isn't quite done yet. We're trying to come up with what are all the proper questions. I think we're probably 70% there. So I'll put that down. But we do want to write off the businesses as example. Say, I think Booney's received a grant. We didn't want to take them out of the mix entirely, but we wanted to give the chance to people that didn't qualify. So back to Kelsey's point, if we have funds that, we've given out everything we can for the companies, businesses that did not receive anything or the smallest by nature and need the help, and we have others, we'll go to the second tier and say, okay, here's people that applied, but they already received some money. But it's going to take a little while to get down there. We're talking 160 businesses that we can help.
Okay, I understand. There's also some that some of the loans that are coming back where you got money are going only to pay help their employees. At least 75% of it is going to pay their employees, which doesn't leave anything left for rent and utilities and those types of things. And that's what I was concerned about, is that if we're basing our rents and utilities, then we ought to make clear in the application part of it what their loan that they've already received was for.
Okay. Very good point. Thank you.
Is there anyone else?
Jeff again.
Eric?
Thank you. This is Jeff again, 70 Lucas.
Okay, go ahead.
My other question I just remembered, is this in presentation embedded into the agenda like materials usually are? I'm just on my cell phone. I wasn't able to get in through the visual way of seeing this meeting, so I'd like to see the presentation if it's available, if we can make it available somewhere. We'll do that.
Okay, yeah, it is not right now. Jeff, literally, we were finishing it up at noon and 2 and 3 this afternoon, going back and forth. So Greg will make it happen as soon as we can. And then you'll see more formal communications, the FAQ sheets, the press release, and everything like that. We were trying to expedite this to get something in front of council tonight. Otherwise, it's another 2 weeks away, and we didn't want to wait. So.
Perfect. I appreciate you guys.
Thank you. Eric Reeder, did you want to talk now?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Go ahead.
As we mentioned last week, with the streetscape there, we knew that there was going to be some possibly impediments for business and impact that it would have. Obviously, COVID-19 has thrown a big wrinkle into things, and a lot of folks aren't.
We're not able to hear you, Eric.
Sorry. Hopefully that's better there. Just knowing that some of the state and federal resources are coming to the end and being tapped out, looking at all sorts of different options and alternatives, we definitely applaud this consideration and hopefully can find some resolution to help out some of the businesses that obviously aren't getting, the grants or other loans out there. To give you some context, with helping out in the city of Rock Island in their effort, in 2 weeks, they've seen 125 applicants, and their application goes up to $2,500. Businesses ranging from $5,000 to $35,000 a month in gross revenues all have applied. And obviously, it can't help everyone to the same degree, but like some of the things that Greg was presenting there, it can help with rent, or it can help with little odds and ends that help businesses stabilize during this period. So any sort of consideration and positivity that we can throw towards our small businesses, we certainly celebrate and appreciate. So thank you again for your consideration.
Thank you. Are there any other comments? Okay, so I would like to take this opportunity to thank Peggy and Jody and Greg for their work on this, and we look forward to seeing it roll out in full here very, very soon, and working this timeline aggressively so that we can help our small businesses. I would at this time entertain a motion from someone to move forward with this plan so that we can help our community as quickly as possible.
So moved, Your Honor. Councilman Brackett.
Second by
We have a
Councilman.
motion by Councilman Brackett with the second by Councilwoman Brockert. I'm going to do a roll call vote, so I make sure that we're all on the same page with this. Councilman Hopkins, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilman Freilich?
Aye.
Councilman Malcolm?
Aye.
Councilwoman Brockert?
Aye.
Councilman Gendrich?
Aye.
Councilman Brackett?
Aye.
And Councilwoman Gordon?
Aye.
We have a unanimous decision from the council to support our small businesses in this way. I think the only negative point is we wish we could do even more to help them. Thank you for all your efforts. We are reaching the end of our council meeting for tonight. I'd like to ask Councilwoman Brockert, do you have anything you'd like to share tonight?
Nothing, Your Honor, except that everyone needs to follow the guidelines trying to avoid catching the coronavirus. Please stay home if you can.
Councilman Gendrich.
My opportunity to thank the staff, Peggy Gordon, so forth, for all the work with the small business program. Nancy, Greg, Jody, and Peggy, a lot of conversation, and admire your diligence on this effort and cooperation with everyone. So, way to go.
Councilman Hopkins, do you have anything tonight?
Nothing tonight, ma'am.
Thank you. Councilman Freilich.
Not tonight, Your Honor.
Councilman Malcolm.
Nothing tonight, Your Honor. Thank you.
Councilwoman Gordon.
Nothing more. I think you've heard enough from me tonight.
Thank you. Councilman Brackett.
I just wanted to reiterate again, what Councilwoman Brockert had mentioned. We really need to maintain our social distancing. I've mentioned this the past couple of meetings. We're seeing more and more cases and more deaths from this virus. It is very serious. We need to take it seriously and make sure that we're doing our part, that we're wearing masks when we go in public, that we're going in public as little as possible, only when necessary. There's a lot of people who cannot work from home. So if you are one of the people that can work from home, please don't jeopardize the rest by going in public on a regular basis. This is, it's hitting us very close to home at this point. We've had, some nearby outbreaks. We've had, multiple senior living facilities that have been hit, and we've seen a surge in uptick in the number of deaths as well. So we need to do our part. We need to take it seriously, and hopefully that'll help us get through this. In addition to that, I did want to mention I was hoping to bring forward this month, but have not had time to go through it as well as needed. But I do want to mention that I will be bringing forward at a future meeting some suggestions on code changes in regards to the powers of the mayor, in regards to what had been changed a number of years ago, and we'll be looking for discussion on that at a future meeting. So, thank you.
Thank you, Kelsey. Cinda, did you have anything tonight?
No, nothing tonight.
I would like to add that Kevin has already added the PowerPoint to the website for anybody that would like to see it. Thank you for doing that so quickly, Kevin. Greg, did you have anything tonight?
Well, the one thing I would mention is that if you'll recall, we put in place a COVID-19 paid time off policy. That policy expired today. We've now extended that to the end of the month, and we will revisit it then, given whatever changes takes place at the state level. But I want to let you know that that's going on. And also want to thank Nancy for her help getting this program put together as well. Thanks, guys.
Yes. And I just wanted to echo everybody's sentiments on the virus, and we are all in uncharted territory here. And certainly now that we've had our second death in Muscatine County, let's continue to support each other and pray for those families that are going through a tough time, and really trying to support each other. Our nursing homes that have outbreaks, I know they're going through a terrible time, and they're putting everything they have into stopping this, and they really need the community support at this time. So we will not have a council meeting next week. Our next meeting will be on May 7th. As you know, the City Hall is closed, but you are welcome to call anytime, and you'll be hooked up with the appropriate staff people. And the elected officials, of course, you can email them and catch them through the website. Thank you, everyone. Stay healthy and safe. Follow all the recommendations, and we'll see you in a couple weeks. Good night.
Good night, adjourn.
Good night.